What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel, and if you are new here, welcome in. If you are new here, my name is Ashley. If you are returning, welcome back, friend. Today I'm bringing you guys something a little bit different, something that I don't normally do on this channel, but this video comes highly requested. You guys have been asking me to do this forever, and I'm finally getting around to doing it. So I'm currently in the middle of filming a machinima for my Life with Ari and Q series, and y'all have been asking me to film a tutorial on how I film my machinimas, so I figured why not kill two birds with one stone. So I'm gonna break this down into, let's see, how many parts do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts. We're first going to talk about camera controls because you guys need to know how to operate the camera. We're going to talk about the mods you need to make this easy. We're going to talk about adjusting your graphics, poses, and animations. And then lastly, we are going to talk about setting up your scene. So I hope you guys are ready. I'm going to try my best to cover everything you need to know about filming machinimas. So hopefully I deliver. Now, as you can see, I have my little models here. Don't they look so cute? And we are currently filming a club scene. So it is rather dark in this setting, but you know, that is on purpose. So now we can go ahead and jump straight into camera control. So the first thing you want to do is hop into your cinematic cam. And when I say cinematic cam, basically what I'm referring to is removing this UI from off of your screen, because I mean, when you're filming a machinima, you definitely don't want to see the in-game controls. And the way that you do that is by simply selecting tab on your keyboard, and then voila, as you can see, UI is completely gone. Now, me personally, I hate when I can see my cursor on the screen when filming a machinima, so you could either move it to the side or adjust your video settings. I am using OBS, so I can show you the settings that I adjust in OBS to remove the cursor. If you guys are using another software, I highly suggest playing around with the settings to remove the cursor from being captured. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is how to move your camera while you're in tab mode. So you can use the arrows on your keypad to either move to the right, the left, forward, or backward, or you can use E to move up and Q to move down. You can also use W to move forward, S to move back, A to move to the left, D to move to the right. However, me personally, I much rather use the arrows to move to the right, the left, and also forward and backward. Now, next, we're going to jump into how to get your camera to pan in a specific direction, slow and steady, without you having to physically move it. So before we start filming any scenes, if this is your first time filming a machinima or playing around with your video camera, you're going to want to check your video camera settings to make sure it's set to your liking. So it's a very easy way to do that. All you have to do is navigate to the folder where your game is saved. My game is saved on my desktop, so all I really need to do is right click it and then open file location. And this is the folder where you're going to find your video camera settings. So once you are in your in-game folder, you're going to navigate to the res folder, and then you should see a document called video camera. Once you open this document, these are your video camera settings. Now, the camera settings you're going to want to adjust for your camera panning are at the very bottom. It's going to be under default interpolator parameters. I have my default interpolator type set to linear because I want my camera to move at an even pace. I don't want it to go slow and then speed up, or speed up and then go slow. I just want it to be even. And then for interpolator time, this is going to dictate how fast or how slow your camera is moving. So I have mine set to 20 seconds. I don't really remember what the default time was, but I know it's something much faster than this. And I want my camera to move slower, so I set it to 20 for all three. You guys can adjust it higher or lower depending on your preference. And then once you've adjusted your settings to your liking, you're just going to go ahead and save it to your folder. So once you've gone into your folder and adjusted your settings to your liking, now it's time for us to set up our waypoints. Now, when I say waypoints, basically what I mean is the different points you want your camera to pan to. In order to set up a point, you're going to have to click Control and then use a number between 5 to 0 on your keypad. I typically gravitate towards 6, 7, and 8. It's just easier for me. So I'm going to use this scene as my first waypoint. So I'm going to select Control 6. And then I'm just going to use a random direction for my second point. So I'm going to do Control 7 on this one. Also, bear in mind, you can do more than 2 points, but for the sake of this video, I'm just going to do 2. So I set this angle to Control 7, and my first waypoint was Control 6. Now, to get my camera to pan back to my first waypoint, I'm going to select 6 on the keyboard, And then as you can see, it's gonna start moving slow and steady to my first waypoint. Now, if we wanted to go back to the angle we set at Control 7, I'm just gonna select 7 on my keyboard and it's gonna travel back the opposite direction. Now, if you wanna get rid of the waypoint that you already have set, all you have to do is select Alt and then click the number that you want to get rid of. So if I wanna get rid of the point I have set to 7, all I have to do is click Alt 7 and it should reset. Now, the next thing I wanna jump into are the specific mods you're going to need when filming your machinima. Bear in mind, you don't need every single one of these mods. All of these mods serve a very different purpose. Now, to pose your sims, you're either going to want to download Andrew Pose Player, Wicked Whims if you're 18 plus. You hear me? 18 plus. You can also use Wonderful Whims. I personally use Wicked Whims because I'm well over the age of 18. And it also has this built-in system where you can position your sims the way you want them to. Now, if you decide to use Andrew Pose Player, you need to make sure your sims are in the position you want them to be in prior to posing them. Whereas with Wicked and Wonderful Whims, you can position them after you pose them. So it's up to you which one you decide to use. Now, if you're going to include children in your machinima, then you're going to have to use Andrew Pose Player to pose them because you're not going to be able to use Wicked or Wonderful Whims to pose them. So that's something I would just keep in mind. Another honorable mention is the Pose Alignment Interaction mod. This is a mod that's going to help you position your sims where you need them to be. I use this mod in conjunction with Wicked Whims. It does not conflict, and I don't believe it conflicts with Wonderful Whims or Andrew Pose Player, so you can use all these mods at the same time. Now, the next thing you're going to need is a mod that's going to give you control of specific sims without you having to add them to your household if you want them to participate in a scene. Some people use Control Any Sim. I personally use Sim Control Hub. I'm not 100% sure if Control Any Sim is updated and working in games, but if you do decide to go with that one, I highly suggest doing your due diligence and your research to figure out if that mod is working. And the last two things you're going to need to download is if you're not satisfied with the animations in game, you're going to need to download animations. And then I cannot live without Twisted Mexi's searchable pose player. That is going to make your life 10 times easier when filming a machinima. If you're anything like me and have thousands of animations, it gets so difficult to find them. So Twisted Mexi Searchable Pose Player does give you a search bar where you can search for the specific animation or pose you are looking for. You just need to know the name of it. So I think we've touched on all the mods you are going to need when filming your machinima. So the next 3 things we're going to touch on are adjusting your graphics and lighting, poses and animations, and setting up the scene. So we're going to touch on all 3 of these things while filming a scene together. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So we have our favorite couple in the building. I think I'm going to film a scene with these two to demonstrate to you guys everything I was talking about in the beginning. So we're going to set up the scene together. So the first thing I'm going to do is find the animation that I'm looking for to depict the scene that I'm trying to portray. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to post both Ariana and Quentin. So usually what I do, like I said, I use Wicked Whims. So I'm going to go to Wicked. I'm going to go to Pose. So this is what the pose menu looks like. Now, let me tell you, like I said earlier, I have thousands and thousands of poses and animations. So I would literally be sitting here forever trying to find what I'm looking for. Now, Twisted Mexi Searchable Pose Player adds this little search bar at the top, so you do not have to scroll and scroll and scroll for days and days and days. So yeah. Definitely download that if you guys are filming machinimas. So I'm gonna search for a random animation. I'm gonna do Rascal because Rascal never disappoints. And y'all, I will create a list of creators that I use for my animations, so you guys can have that as a resource for when you start filming your machinimas. So I'm just gonna do a random one. We'll do Attraction because they are a couple. And these are scenes that require 2 people. So obviously the timing has to be right and the positioning has to be right in order for it to work. So we'll do one of the sitting animations. I'm going to have Quentin do the one that's flattered. And then for Ariana, I'm going to have her do the other pose. So she's going to do the one that's caught staring. So I'm going to click on that. And a little disclaimer, if you are using an animation that requires 2 or more people, you want to make sure that your game is paused, select the poses that you need, and then once everyone's pose is selected, then you unpause. That's going to make sure that the timing is right for every single animation used in the scene. So I'm going to go ahead and unpause, and then they're going to go into the animation. Now, as you can see, oh, who big head is this? As you can see, they are not lined up appropriately. So I have to make sure that they are lined up so the animation works. So this is where the pose alignment interaction mod comes in, because all I need to do is click on the sim that I want to interact with, and I can have Ariana align with Quentin so that way the animation works properly. As you can see, now they are lined up the way they are supposed to be to get the animation to work properly. Now, I also want to mention we did choose a sitting animation, and these two are not sitting in a seat, which is not a problem. I can actually move them to a seat while they're posed in this animation. So using the pose alignment interaction mod, you can move your sim where you need them to. So if I wanted to move Quentin here, I can move him there. If I wanted him to move to the seat, I could definitely do that too. Sometimes it's not 100% perfect, so that's why I say I also use Wicked Whims in conjunction with this mod, because I want to rotate him so his legs are not going through the sofa, if that makes sense. So what I can do is I can go back to Wicked, I can go to actions, I can also go to enable positioning, and the menu will pop up in his original position. So what I'll do is I can use these arrows to position him the way that I really want to. So if I wanted to rotate him, I can do that by clicking this pink arrow. If I wanted to move him back, I could do that also. So he's in the position that I need him to be in. Now, once I do that, I can disable positioning and then this menu will disappear. Now that I have Quentin in the position that I need him to be in, I'm then going to control Ariana, click on Quentin, and have her align with Quentin, and it's going to move her over here. Now, if I need to fine tune her position, I can also do that by going to the Wicked Whims menu, clicking actions, enable positioning, and then her menu will pop up in her original spot, and I can just adjust these arrows to my liking. So now I have these two in the position that I need them to be in. So this is what the animation is going to look like. How freaking cute. Now, the next thing I want to talk about are my graphics. I am currently using G-Shade. I'm using Zorayla's preset at the moment. This is what my game looks like without G-Shade. Not terrible, but also not the best. And this is what my game looks like with G-Shade. I prefer using G-Shade. Some people use Reshade. Some people don't use any shaders. So it really depends on your preference. I also have relight in my game. I have not adjusted my relight settings, so that could be why they look a little bit on the yellow side. But relight basically adds additional lighting into your game. You just need to play around with your settings. So this is what it looks like with relight on. And if I were to take it off, this is what it looks like. Now, relight is behind paywall, so do bear that in mind. I'm going to keep it off for now. As an alternative, if you do not want to pay for relight, you can always play around with the in-game lighting. Sometimes you just have to improvise. So when I don't feel like adjusting my relight settings, I will literally go into build mode and put out a ring light. A literal ring light. Yeah, I definitely wasn't kidding. Bring out that ring light, because I kid you not, it's going to help with your lighting. So if you don't want to use relight and play around with your settings, this is an easy fix. Now you can move it wherever you want to, and then when you get back into live mode, girl, is it live mode or live mode? What y'all say? Let me know in the comments down below. You can always adjust the lighting to your liking. So I'm just gonna leave that right there, and we're gonna film this with the ring light. Now for this scene, I want the camera to slowly pan by itself without me having to move it. So I'm going to set my waypoints the same way I did in the beginning of this video. So I actually want this to be 0.6. So I'm going to select Control-6 on my keyboard. And then I also want it to pan slowly towards their faces. So I'm going to make this 0.7 by clicking Control-7. And if I want to add a little razzle dazzle to this scene and add a little blur effect, the way that I do that is through G-Shade. I'm going to pull up my G-Shade menu, select a DOF, and it's going to add a little bit of blur. So now we're going to pan the camera back to position 6 by clicking 6 on the keyboard. So this is what it looks like. Period. So cute. Now, all you got to do is add a little bit of music, and it's really going to set it off. All right, y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video right here. I hope you guys learned some things. I hope you guys found it resourceful. Also, if you want to see how the machinima turned out, stay tuned to the end. And just to let y'all know, I did not use this scene in the machinima, and Quentin's outfit is completely different, but that's beside the point. This is also going to be a little bit of a teaser for the next episode of Life with Ari and Q. So for those who watch my LPs, I'm sure you guys are gonna enjoy it. And just to let you know, the next episode of Life with Ari and Q will go live tomorrow, and it's more than likely live on Patreon right now for early access. I also hope this inspires you guys to get into your content creation bag. I know so many people who have reached out to me who want to start LPs and want to start recording machinimas, but they just don't know where to start. I hope I motivated you to start today. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to create a list of my favorite creators to download animations from. I'm even going to create a short list of creators on YouTube who create non-copyright music mashups. So girl, there is no excuse. I'm giving you all the resources, okay? So the list of resources can be found in the Patreon link in my description box. Lastly, before I forget, if you guys didn't know, I have a Discord, and in my Discord, I do have a channel dedicated to the Sims 4 animations and poses I download. I post the links in there. I also created a content creator channel. So if you're a content creator and you're looking for resources, that is a good place to be. But all in all, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I love each and every one of you guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye y'all. Stay tuned for the machinima at the end.
Like this, y'all take a draw, let me put it right in. Arch up your back, you know I feel me time this. Me love it when you whine like you whine when me miss so. The way you whine, girl, you know me like that. Broke up your spine like you're funny Bible. And I'm a girl, you know I'm me wife that. You have a man trap, how you want me wife, girl. Boom tight, oh God, oh God. Only one man do you good, your body righteous. Your boom boom tight, oh God, oh God. Only one man do you good, your body righteous. And I'm a girl, you know I'm me wife that. You have a man trap, how you want me wife, girl? You have a man trap.